Hey everybody, this is Coffee with Mikey. It is Saturday, 9/20/25, right? Hey everybody, this is Coffee with Mikey. It is Saturday, 9/20/25, right? So I had class today. Um, it was good. So today's coffee is delicious. So instead of 8 ounces of milk, I put in 4 ounces of milk, and the rest of it was um, this Mexican roast that I'm finishing off. So It, it's pretty good. And I've decided that medium roast is the roast for me, right? I want to go and explore more flavors with coffee. So instead of getting like the big 5 pound bags that I'm used to buying, I'm buying more like not 1 pound, 12 ounce bags, I think. I think it's 12 ounces. I taught one of my coaches does a lot of like drop shipping and order placement and things like that. He told me that basically with shipping rates, if it's over I believe it was 12 ounces, right? If it gets over 12 ounces, you pay additional fees. So it's not worth it until you get to over I think over 2 pounds. I can't remember what the exact ratios were, but I remember him telling me that. I'm like, oh, that's something to think about when I'm starting to package and sell coffee because I just wanted to sell 1 pound bags, but basically the fees between the 1 pound shippings is um, doesn't make it worth it. So I'll be more mindful of that as I get more cognizant of how I want to build the coffee empire, right? It sounds ridiculous to say that out loud. But yeah, today's class I had the performance coaching with Coach Chris Lee, my performance coach, top tier group. He has like 2 books. He has one book called Beyond the Battlefield and another book that's Legacy Forge. So this is like a workbook, and I've opened it up, and so this is a 90-day battle plan to take command, build this plan, and forge a life that echoes beyond you, right? And it makes sense because I want to do more legacy stuff, and part of that is actually putting my thoughts down, and I started doing YouTube to do that um, and be someone that you know can talk, can record things, and does have my thoughts down. So like when and if I have children, they'll be able to see this version of myself at this point in my life, and I think that's really important because I don't have that for my parents, right? There are no diaries, there's memories, but like how distorted are those memories um based off of time, based off of like grief, based off of like whatever emotion or situation, right? Like whatever I'm seeing and feeling in that perspective based off of where I am in that moment. So that's why I'm doing that. But performance coaching was really good. I shared a big breakthrough in both class, right? So we had EQ lab today, where we talk about our feelings, which is really good. And I shared something in both segments about like, oh, I healed a really deep wound this week during a one-on-one call with somebody that I'm in. I don't want to say I'm in coaching with, but like it kind of is. But the group's called the Art of Accomplishment, and they have courses. So this person has done 2 courses, right? He's done the connection course, which I've done, but he also did something called the decisions course or the great decision. I don't quite remember the name because I haven't done it. And he said the decisions course goes more in depth, and it's helping me leverage my decisions to not only make more money, but like let go of a lot of stuff that it doesn't belong in my life anymore. And I was like, wow, that's great. But the reason we scheduled the call is because he put in our the circle group. I was like, hey, I've had a major breakthrough. I don't remember his exact words, but it was like I went from saving $1,000 to $20,000 based on what I learned in this training. So if anybody wants to have a one-on-one with me to talk about it, and use the view methodology, right? View stands for vulnerable, empathetic, impartial, and wonder, right? Having a sense of wonder about the other person. Um, and we have it. So I scheduled one. I scheduled it after orientation when I saw it. I'm not always in that circle group, so it's like so interesting that it popped up. I'm like, oh yeah, right here, right now, right? So I scheduled a call with him. Um, and I have been really tired since orientation. I've just been really like exhausted is the right word. I feel like, man, like I'm coming back into the cadence of my daily life, which was already stressful, right? So taking on a master's program at the same time um, and increasing my output to write papers and really process and think and read and absorb all this data on top of like what I'm getting from work, right? I do work a full-time job. I managed about 12 engineers, and I'm in meetings all day. Sometimes I'm double and triple booked, and that is something that is it's a lot to like juggle that, right? And it's just a different kind of stress. It's a different kind of like um mental strain because I'm trying to make sure that I'm getting the right data. I'm making decisions that affect lots of people, right? And I'm making sure I'm doing my best. I'm doing right by the people that I am in charge of my team, my group, my organization. And it is a lot of pressure, but at the same time, like I'm very capable of doing that. And I'm very capable of being present with the people that I'm in my program with, like the master's program with. I do want to graduate with the master's degree, right? I do want to fully experience grad school, which I feel like I'm very lucky to get into because I never thought I'd get a master's degree, right? Like I've never thought I'd probably roll into like a doctorate program after this, right? And like I saw this opportunity and my job pays for it. So I'm like, okay, well, let's do it. Right? Like I want that. I want to be able to potentially one day be called Doc and Mikey, right? Like I think that'd be hilarious and it would be awesome. And that's what I want to do with my life. Um, Going back to the performance coaching, like a shared major breakthrough, with the one-on-one I had this person that had gone from saving $1,000 to $20,000 in the scheme of this year, right? Just after doing these two programs, I think he did them back to back. But he did these two courses, the connection course and the decisions course, and it's changed his perspective on things, and he's able to leverage his decisions to make more money. Not only make more money, but like to keep it in his bank account, right? Like I had a problem where historically, right, with Dr. Mike in my master's program said historically, right, and to use the context of the phrasing historically as compared to I always or I'm like this, right? Like historically, I have spent all my money and I've lived paycheck to paycheck, month to month, and it puts me in a place of mental strain. Even though I make a lot of money, I spend more than I make, and of course, like that's common sense to a lot of people, but like emotionally, I just run rampant with like, oh, I have to travel this month, like I have to take out a loan to make sure like I have enough money while I'm traveling in case something happens, and if I don't have enough for the hotel or anything like that, it's a bad spot, right? And that happened to me last time I traveled to Virginia for work. Like one of my cards wasn't working, right? One of my credit cards wasn't working for whatever reason. And they're like, oh, it's declined. And I'm like, oh my God, right? I'm like freaking out. I'm like, I'm at this hotel. So I had to call my sister and borrow money from her. Thank God, right? She was able to, lend me the money while I figure out what's going on with my credit card because like I put the money in the credit card and it just didn't populate for whatever reason. And I called the credit card company. I was like, hey, what's going on? Um, but it ended up working out, right? I ended up being able to book my room. I ended up, you know, fixing that thing. But like situations like that are like, oh, that's why I need the travel loan, right? I'll just pay it back, whatever. And but I tend to overcommit, right? Whenever the next shiny thing, like Facebook ads and Instagram ads, work on me a lot. I'm the person that buys. a lot of stuff. And I think it's because I'm emotionally dysregulated when those things happen, right? My nervous system's just like, yeah, if I buy this, I'll feel better, right? And that's something that, retail therapy, people that have retail therapy or understand the concept of retail therapy, like, oh yeah, I bought it and I just have a sense of relief. And I should be able to cultivate that sense of relief no matter where I am, right? Or and not feel like if I buy this thing, it'll fix it, right? Because I have so much stuff in my house. My home organizer just keeps she just like keeps telling me like, well, you have to let go of these things because they're cluttering your space. And the physical clutter is to me, how I understand it, physical clutter is a reflection of mental clutter, right? And I can't tell you how many times I've come home to like a clean space, right, when the housekeeper or the home organizer does the thing, and I'm just like, yes, I'm at peace. It is so nice to have that. And I just keep recluttering it because I'm not cleaning out the things here in my head. So I'm working on it, and I'm happy about that. Hmm. But going back to this view conversation, right? Now that I've given you more context, uh, it comes down to I had a deep mother wound, right? I had a really deep mother wound, and it came down to a situation where, like, in childhood, my mom told me that the doctor said that, it's risky to have me, right? I'm the last of three. We're all 7 years apart, give or take. And my mom was, excuse me, my mom was 39 when she had me, right? And she told me that the doctor said, like, because you're older, excuse me, it's riskier to have this child. And my mom was like, well, I love my children. I'm gonna have them, right? That's what it came down to. Um, so I always felt like after she told me that, I felt obligated to be like the best child, right? Like to be worth the investment of having me. And it manifested as like, oh, I have to be the person that makes the most money. I have to be the most generous. I have to be the person that commits to things to kind of people please. I have to pay for dinner for the group, or I have to be generous with my friends and pay for stuff like that. And it just comes from a place of inadequacy because I had to make up for the sacrifice that my family made on my behalf, right? And I'm really going out of my way, or historically have gone out of my way, um, to put this expectation on myself that I have to be the person that can pay for everybody when we go out because it's embarrassing to go out and not be able to pay the bill, right? Like, why go out if you want to pay the bill? Um, or if you can't make it and just say, hey, and I'm the person that pressures people to go and say like, well, I'll just pay. I don't care. I want to spend time with my friends. I'm a quality time person. And I want to spend quality time outside of like really, really, really worrying about that. But sometimes it puts me, if I a financial constraint, right? Um, and it puts me a lot of pressure. There's a lot of shame there uh, that I've had to process over the years. And this conversation I have with this person, Greg, um, he really saw to the root of the problem. He was like, well, what is it? How do you feel about money? We ask ourselves what how questions to try to get the person to answer the question themselves, really. And I came to this realization, like, oh, I have this like expectation that I have to be performative in order to appease my mom, right? My mom passed in 2015. It's been over 10 years, right? But I still have this like expectation of myself that I feel like I let my mom down when I'm not being overly generous and being the person that hosts parties and feeds my friends, and because those are all things that she did, right? So I have this theory that um, you tend to embody the parent that you resent most, or take on attributes of the parent that you resent most. And that's my theory about it. That's how I've experienced things. And for that person, my mom is that person, right? I kind of have resentments about things she said, like like her telling me the doctor said like, oh, maybe we shouldn't have this baby, right? Like I kind of have a resentment there. And from that resentment has grown this like over performance, um, extra mile kind of guy. And this came up during one of my coaching sessions with my professor, where he said it just feels like you're really lonely, right? And you do these things to make up for that, so you don't feel like you're alone. And there's a lot of sadness there. And I was like, holy shit, that's correct. But like, my natural response was like, it's lonely at the top, right? And when I said that out loud, it was to cover for like feeling that way. But I was like, man, that shit fucking sucks, dude. It sucks so bad. Um, and what I mean by that, like it sucks so bad, is like it sucks me back to this place where like I'm a little kid and I feel like my very existence is is pain for this person that loves me. And I don't like it. But during this exercise I did with this person, he helped me identify it, and I felt like this gaping wound in my heart. Like, and he was like, "Oh, you're even touching your heart," like during the thing. When I think about it, and I typically tap my heart, but I was like rubbing the area when I thought about it, and he pointed it out. I was like, "Yes, I am doing that, and I do that because that's where I feel it. I feel this hurt, and there's pain, and there's this like black hole in my heart, or like a sinkhole in my heart, that I keep trying to fill with these gestures, right? Like I don't know, George Carlin has a quote about this. Um let's see, trying to be happy by accumulating possessions is like trying to satisfy hunger by taping sandwiches all over your body, right? And like that really made sense to me when I read that. I've never heard him say it, but I don't think I've ever heard him say it. But like that's the quote that's attributed to him. And I'm like, that's it, right? So I've consciously tried to steer away from it, but I still have those apprehensions that I work to heal towards. And this conversation really helped me like address that, in terms of, well, I don't have to keep filling it with these gestures or these like things, and I don't have to keep throwing money at a problem, right? I can just address the problem, because trying to throw money at it is kind of avoidance instead of just healing the wound. Um, and it just comes out that I had this like really deep mother wound of disappointing my mom. And we worked through that together, right? This complete stranger I just met like 30 minutes ago, because we had this training, of the connection course, right? We're able to use that training together um, to help us work through this problem I was experiencing. And it was great, right? I started to feel like I didn't have to do those things, right? I started to feel like the pressure around having to earn a lot of money, right? My goal is $1 million a year. Um, it just started to lift off me. I felt lighter. I felt like my body was heating up, and I was burning off these like old expectations of like all these things that I've carried with me all throughout all these years. And it's not a burden anymore. It doesn't hurt my heart anymore. I don't feel like that gaping wound in my heart is bleeding all over people. And I don't have to cover it up with like these nice intentions and gestures. I just like feel whole as a person, and um, I don't have this need or expectation to pay for other people or overcommit or pay for the next program, that'll get me to $1 million, right? I can do that. I can do that. And I can tell you, like, Alex Hormozy has this quote that, life-changing opportunities come twice a year, right? And once once I heard him say that, I'm like, that's right. So I can say no to these like super high ticket training programs um, that, historically haven't worked for me, dude. Like I paid, 5,000 for like a YouTube course. I paid a couple grand to get into a YouTube mastermind. And I just wasn't posting and I kind of wasn't making a difference in my life. And I just kind of felt overwhelmed, right? Like I had a full-time job. I'm like getting feedback from these people like, oh yeah, get a better camera, get a better mic. You could use some editing. Like, what does your script writing look like? And I was just like, man, I don't fucking have time for any of that shit. I have a full-time job. Like, it's rough. It is so rough, right? Like, in I have years of content from like Instagram and Facebook. I'm just like posting old workouts. So this is what I did. I bought a scheduling app from like AppSumo or something like that, and it just scheduled um, to YouTube. I just downloaded all the things, probably a couple gigs worth of video, and I just posted the those workouts with like random AI generated captions from like the workout and like whatever the workout was and how I was feeling that day. And it great, right? Like I went from on my personal channel, like you may even just because I just want to test it out, see how it did. I went from like struggling for like 40, 50 like subscribers to getting 150 subscribers, right? And just like posting those workouts every day. And I was getting, comments like so most of them were really great comments. Most of them were like, yeah, brother, like keep going, like we're like the consistency, blah blah blah. And it was just like this outpouring of like positivity. And like some people were like, there was like one or two bad comments that were like, oh, clean your house, right? Because like my carport might have been a little messy when I was doing kettlebell swings. And I was like, whatever, dude. Like, and it helped me like understand that there's always going to be criticism, and like my role is not to appease the critics. My role is to inform, right? My role is to like, oh, I worked out today, right? In these videos, and or like at one point it motivates me because I had done hard things before, and I can continue to do hard things despite the challenges. Um, and that's really like why I was doing it because I was testing this thing to make sure that I'm not wasting my time on YouTube. Um, but I like it. I like it. And at the end of the day, as a verbal processor, it's good to talk about these things, even if I'm like on Zoom recording myself. um, and it helps me. It helps me get better with my camera, how I articulate, and just continuing to create content that's good and healthy for me. But going back to the core wound exercise, I won't call it the core wound exercise, but like the core wound healing I experienced yesterday, that was a major breakthrough for me. I didn't feel obligated to do any of those things that I felt obligated to do anymore. I'm like, oh, like I'm a whole ass person by myself in this painful place in my heart that I felt as a like a void or a black hole that was sucking in um, all this effort that I was putting towards it. It's not there anymore, right? I've healed it, and the old expectations have burned off, and I just feel like unburdened, and I feel great. I feel a lot of joy, and after that, I took a nap, and I felt well rested for the first time in months, maybe like more rested than I had in years. Um, and it was great. Like that sense of relief has been so nice and so lovely to experience. And like I'm starting to, really enjoy being alive again, whereas before I was just going through the motions. And having that sense of joy and fulfillment and satisfaction in my life. Like I like before the orientation weekend, I never used the word satisfied, right? And now it makes sense to me to say it because like I actually am feeling satisfied. I do have the satisfaction of a job well done. I do have the satisfaction of like I'm a whole being on myself, like by myself, and I don't need the approval of other people, other things, which I was seeking because I had this really deep mother wound where I was always seeking the validation from my parent, right, from my mom, and I don't have it anymore, right? Like, my mom has passed for a long time, for over a decade, right? Like who am I trying to appease? I'm trying to appease, or historically, I tried to appease the idea of my mother's disapproval because, like, oh yeah, like they want a medical doctor in the family, or like they want a lawyer in the family, right? Like those are the kind of like crazy expectations. I don't want to say crazy expectations, but those are the kind of expectations that are put on us. None of us are a doctor, right? None of us have a none of us in our family. We're all successful in our own way, right? But none of us is a doctor. None of us are a lawyer, right? Like I wouldn't even consider going to law school at this point in my life. I could if I really wanted to after I finish the master's program, but like, do I? Do I only do that? I already have like a really successful tech career, right? Without the like the crazy student debt that you get. Um, but I already have a full happy life for the most part. Check all the boxes. And I'm starting to realize that checking the boxes is just one part of the process. I actually have to enjoy that process in order to be happy. But like there is a lot of satisfaction in checking the box, uh, and living in a way without the need to feel like I have to please somebody else. Anyway, that's it. I went over, but it's okay to go over. It's the weekend. I had a lot of time to do it. So usually I only have like 15 or 20 minutes to recording. But yeah, I shared that in EQ Lab as well and activated other people's like feelings. And we were able to speak on those moments. But like, man, I just felt so happy to share that I healed this part of myself. I healed this wound that was like bothering me for a long time and causing me a lot of like sadness and hurt and anger because I just wasn't meeting expectations. But like you're on that like what's the hedonistic treadmill of like accomplishment or destination. What's it? It's destination euphoria? No, the destination addiction. That's what it is. Where like you're addicted to like getting to the next destination, but like when you get there, you still feel unfulfilled, right? So like, oh, like for me, that was making more money, right? Like, oh, once I start making six figures, I'll start feeling better. And I started making six figures. Like when I remember the day when I broke, when I got the offer for my first six-figure job for like I went from 93K to 133K, right? I got that offer and I was like, I felt so relieved. And then I started working that job and I started hating that job. And maybe it was resentment, maybe it was like, oh, I have to commute to another city, right? So like my commute was an hour and 23 minutes door to door from my house to the office. So instead of commuting like that, because I knew I just wasn't it's down. So I was commuting from St. Petersburg to Orlando. Um, and I-4 is one of the most, if not the most dangerous travel corridor or a strip of like highway in the country, right? I'm pretty sure that's still true. Um, so I was like, this is dangerous, and I don't do that. And that can be like I mean, hour and a half each way, and that's like ideally, like that is the ideal time, right? Like shortest amount of time, no traffic. So I ended up getting an apartment in Orlando, a really nice place, and I'm glad I got it. And I lived there for like 9 months. This is before and then at the start of the pandemic, right? So like 2019 into 2020. Um, it was really nice. And like all the money that I got from taking the new job went to the apartment. Then I had to pay like the deposit and I had to pay rent and my bills. So I still have bills in my house at home, right? And I wasn't living in a house that I was paying for because I was living in Orlando like 3 or 4 days out of the week. And on the weekends, when I didn't have to work on the weekends because it was 24/7 operations, I would go home. So like all the friends I have at home that I used to spend a lot of time with, I really didn't see them for 9 months, right? Almost a year, right? And like it broke. I don't want to say it broke, but like like started to lose the relationship. A lot of people I used to hang out with, but I like, I was like, well, is it really a deep connection? Because they're not asking me to hang out anymore, even though they know I'm in another city, right? Like, I never got back to hang out with those people for the most part. Like I see them and I'm cordial with them, but like I don't get invited out anymore. Even like years later after I've moved home, right? And I'm just like, maybe that's for the best, right? Like maybe those people weren't like the kind of friends I thought they were. And that's okay because I don't drink it, right? Like I don't drink like that anymore. Like I'll have a beverage of alcoholic content every once in a while. But like when I was hanging out with those people, all we would do is drink and they would talk shit about other people and they would gossip. And I'm like, dude, I'm not about gossiping. It's not healthy, it's not good. They're like, well, everybody does it. I was like, well, I don't do it. So everybody doesn't do it, right? And I'm not about that life. Um, so I think that was helpful for me to have that change because I was just in this cycle of basically hurting myself to meet achievements to people that didn't care whether or not I hurt myself, right? And maybe that's like the corporate game. But I don't feel that in my current role, in my current place, and I don't want to put those expectations on the people I work for. I want people to have a good life and a good career. And I mean, that's really why I started coaching. That's really the root cause of it. Like I've had really bad bosses and I've had bad leaders that didn't do right by me, and I don't want other people to suffer unnecessarily. That is like the reason. Um, uh, my reason for being right now is making sure that other people don't suffer unnecessarily. And in me healing these wounds and sharing um, this revelation, this space with people, it's been really nice. It has been so nice. And I'm happy you're here. I'm happy that we get to have these talks, and I'm happy that I get to love myself to be an example to the rest of my family of what self-love looks like, of what putting up like boundaries look like, of what um, really addressing the root cause of problems look like. Because when I see my nephew or niece suffering, right, like I want help, but I also understand that they have to do the work on their own. I can't do it for them, right? And that goes for everybody. I can't make you feel your feelings. I can't make you process them, but I can show you what that looks like through me doing it. And this has a network effect on everybody that you interact with. Like when I become better for myself, everybody benefits. When I do the work for myself, everybody benefits, whether directly or indirectly. Because I'm a better person for myself, other people, um, I don't know, get activated by that. Other people see that and can use that as an example if they choose to. So yeah, I've been monologuing for 33 minutes and 30 seconds. So okay, thanks. Bye.